The following program contains mature subject matter. Listener discretion is advised. Montreal's news talk leader, CJAD 800 presents Passion with sex therapist Dr. Laurie Petito. To reach Dr. Laurie, call 514-790-0991. Star Talk, a free call on Bell Mobility, and 800-491-CJAD. Now, here's Dr. Laurie.
Welcome to Passion, a show about love, sex, and relationships. I'm Dr. Laurie Petito, clinical psychologist and sex therapist. And as usual, the lines are open no matter what topic we are talking about. If you have a question unrelated, that's okay. But if you want to join our discussion tonight, of course, you are very welcome to. 514-790-0991. You can text us at 514-800 as well. Tonight, it's our regular monthly feature, Dating Dilemmas. I'm joined by Frank Kermit, who is a dating coach, among other things. And he's the founder of franktalks.com, the author of many books on the subject of dating, understanding men and women, understanding needs, and a little bit of seduction in there and all of that. So if you are single, if you're in the dating scene and you have questions, tonight is your night. 514-790-0991. One of the things we want to focus on tonight is a little bit of a delicate issue, I'd say, for many people, and that is dating the ex of somebody close to you. Frank, I don't even know where to begin on that. Is it cool? Is it uncool?
That really depends on the friendship you have and the perspectives you take. I take a very extreme view, and that is when two people break up, they are free to date anybody they want. And if they want to date someone else within their social circle, they're free to do that. People have a right to seek out their soulmate.
Yeah, okay.
One of the things that I do when I do my dating coaching is that I get people to understand, look, when you break up with somebody, and if they start dating someone else the next day, you broke up with them. They are free to date who they want. And until you really embrace that fact, you might end up having unrealistic expectations. I deal with men and women who say to me, I can't believe they went out and dated somebody right after we broke up. Well, what do you mean you can't believe it?
Okay, but dating, but what if it's your best friend's ex? I mean, that's a delicate situation in my book.
Sure, it's a delicate situation, and in some cases, you may feel an obligation to talk to that friend, and if not get their permission, you want to at least let them know what's going on so they don't hear it through other sources. But it's important to remember that people, when they're looking to date someone, they may not necessarily be looking to date a stranger. They might want to date people they already know.
And they would have known them through that social circle.
Exactly.
Still delicate. I'd love to ask some of our listeners, first of all, have you ever wanted to date a friend's ex or maybe a family member's ex? Maybe a friend's ex has asked you out or chased you down or whatever it is. Has one of your friends ever dated your ex? And I'm also wondering if you've ever been asked permission to date the ex of your friend. I think that's a good way to go, is asking permission.
Depending. Depends.
It's always a depends, eh?
Well, sure, it's a depends, because in some cases, the person may be very possessive of their ex. And that isn't fair to the ex, and that isn't fair to the friend. If you really believe that that person is so worthwhile, continue to date them, pursue them. Don't break up every time you have a fight. Prove it. You really think this person's worthwhile? You should still be dating them. But if you're going to set them free, if you're going to try to play mind games, well, I'm going to break up with you and now that's it, you got to expect that the other person is going to move on with their life, and rightly so.
Right. I guess it's who you move on with. I mean, I've seen situations, interestingly enough, where you have two couples that were friends and in the end they ended up swapping partners, not in a swinging kind of way, but literally, actually one had an affair with one and then they ended up together and then that one ended up with that one and they were all family. That was I think the hardest part. And it just ripped apart the family.
Well, there you're dealing with an infidelity. You're dealing with lying. You're dealing with a break of trust. What we're looking at here as well is what happens when you have a legitimate breakup between two people and one of them wants to date the friend of their ex. And this is what's going to happen. When people have affairs, they don't necessarily look for a complete stranger who's completely out of their circle. Sometimes they're going to have an affair with the closest person available.
I know, but I'm thinking of a situation. Let's say you are with somebody, you divorce them. It's not the prettiest of divorces. Now that person starts to date. And this I know somebody who got divorced and then married her ex-husband's brother. And they don't talk to the rest of the family. Like they just, it was split apart. It was really quite nasty and very difficult. But they've been together for like 30 years. They're very happy that they chose that over, the family mess kind of thing and staying away from that. But still, when does it ever turn out really well?
Well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. We don't know what the dynamic was within that family to begin with. The family may have now split and people may have stopped talking because of this one incident.
Right.
But the one incident might have been the final incident in a string of what could be dysfunctional behaviors. So that family breakdown was inevitable or could have been inevitable. That's what we don't know. I know someone who's in exactly the same situation. She wanted to marry brother number one, but he was too shy to ever make a move. She figured she can't have brother number one, so she married brother number two.
No way.
Well, brother number two turned out to be very abusive.
Oh.
And after a number of years of being in an abusive relationship, that relationship ended, and she finally said, well, I'm going to go out with brother number one. He's the one I wanted initially, and he was a nice guy. And she ended up with brother number one, and they had a very happy relationship. And, of course, it caused tension in the family, and
Sure.
Christmas was never the same in the household. But the fact is that she probably was happier with brother number one anyway. And it's unfortunate that brother one and brother two were related and that's how she met them. But everybody is somebody's ex. And if you have the opportunity to find happiness with someone, go for it. Because one of my philosophies is that in 10 years from now, chances are all the really good friends you have right now aren't going to be a major factor in your life 10 years from now. Very few of the friends that you're going to have 10 years from now are in your life right now.
Right.
Your family's going to be your number one priority. If you have children, they're going to be your number one priority. And when, let's say, times are tough, we're going through some economic hard times now, people think of their family first, not their friends.
Right.
So at some point, your best friends at some point are going to have to make a choice between you and the people that they're building a life with and taking care of.
Right.
So let's keep friendship in perspective.
Yeah, that's true. It's an interesting way of looking at it, that perspective. We just think of the, oh my goodness, what have I done to this friendship? So I guess we'll talk about that, what the value of that friendship is versus the potential for romance, because we don't know when it starts off if that's going to be the one. You're listening to Dating Dilemmas. Would love to hear your thoughts if you've ever dated the ex of a best friend or a family member. We'd love to hear how that turned out for you. Give us a call at 514-790-0991. You're listening to Passion on CJAD 800.
From Loser to Seducer is the story of Frank B. Kermit. This book marks the triumph of a nice guy over most of his inner demons. This includes going from being a loser to managing 5 lovers at the same time, his first Valentine's date with 2 women at the same time, and getting back the one that got away. Want to learn how you can change your life? Buy this book at franktalks.com.
This is Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito on Montreal's News Talk Leader, CJAD 800.
Nice dancing there, Frank. Frank Kermit joins us tonight for Dating Dilemmas. And one dilemma we are picking tonight to discuss is dating your friend's ex or a family member. Maybe it's your brother's ex-girlfriend or ex-wife or your sister's ex-husband. I want to know if you've ever experienced this and, how did it turn out? Did it break your family apart? Did it break the friendship? What happened? 514-790-0991. You can also text us at 514-800. Now, I imagine that if it's just a casual friend, who cares?
Of Quite possibly.
I mean, if the friendship doesn't mean all that much to you, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
So you lose the friendship. No big deal in the end, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So I think we have to look at the value of that friendship. If it's your very best friend for your whole life, I'm of two minds, because if it's a really good friend and the friend didn't connect with that person and that's why they broke up, I would expect that they would want their friend to be happy, and if it works with them, they'd say, good, go for it. We want you to be happy.
And that's exactly what I teach, and that is a true friend wants to see you happy and wants you to be with someone even if it didn't work out for them.
Okay.
One of the things that I did in the beginning of my development when I got into this lifestyle, we would hold parties where everybody had to bring someone they dated and it didn't work out to introduce to someone else.
That's a Sex and the City episode. You know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, there was that's what they did. They were all invited to a party and they had to bring one guy that wasn't for them, that they had, been on a date with, and that's how they did this mingle thing.
Exactly. And depending on the context, you do have to be comfortable with the idea that your friend has been with the person that you're about to date if you're the one who's dating the ex.
Right.
I remember in my college days, I would date a girl for a while, but I didn't want to lose her as a friend because, you start breaking up social circles and it gets very
murky.
difficult. So everybody says, okay, we dated, we broke up. Eventually, they start dating somebody else in a social circle, and this just continues on. I remember being out one night with a circle of friends, and I looked around and I realized I had at some point dated every girl sitting at the table, and each one was with their current boyfriend, who was also a friend of mine.
Right, right.
So it was an interesting, scenario.
But maybe that's college or high school. What happens later in life? What happens after it's been a divorce and it's been messy and there are children, and you have to, deal with all of that.
In the end, you got to realize adults are going to be adults, and I learned this from someone that you know. And he simply said, look, adults are going to meet up whether you like it or not. So rather than try to get nervous about it or freak out about it, be happy for them that they've connected.
Right.
Maybe the two of them are going to find absolute happiness together, and that just makes the world a better place.
I mean, that's the most compassionate attitude to have, obviously. But that isn't, people get very emotional sometimes when it has to do with exes. And I know somebody asked me this question, it was about the ex, like they're single now, they were divorced, and they were thinking, okay, I met this girl, but I found out that she's the ex-wife of, somebody who is one of our family members, let's say. That's what he was saying. So it was one of their family members. And so, he was asking me for advice. Like, do I go for it? Do we tell anybody? Do we do this in secret? At which point do we tell? So those are some of the issues I want to look at as well is, do you keep it secret or do you tell? Which is better? We'll do that coming up next here on Dating Dilemmas with my co-host of the evening, Frank Kermit of franktalks.com. You can check out his website and his many, many books that he has written as well on the subject of dating. You're listening to Passion on CJAD 800.
From Loser to Seducer is the story of Frank B. Kermit. This book marks the triumph of a nice guy over most of his inner demons. This includes going from being a loser to managing 5 lovers at the same time, his first Valentine's date with 2 women at the same time, and getting back the one that got away. Want to learn how you can change your life? Buy this book at franktalks.com.
This is Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito on Montreal's News Talk Leader, CJAD 800.
Dating dilemmas tonight on Passion. We're talking about dating the ex of a friend or a family member. I would guess it would be a very close friend or a family member. Karen joins us on the program. Hi, Karen. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
When I was younger and starting to date, my friends and I decided that we wouldn't go out with each other's boyfriends when we broke up.
Okay.
And I'm really glad that we did that. But as we got older, we realized that if we wanted to, we would talk to the person first to see how they felt about it.
Right. It wasn't like a standard thing, okay? You got more mature and you realized, hey.
Yeah, none of us have done it. But what's amazing is that we're all friends, exes,
Really?
present. Yeah,
That's
because
good.
Friendships. Boyfriends can come and go, husbands can too, but friends, they can see you through a lifetime.
That's true too. That's true too. And sometimes if it's that close of a friend, you don't want to necessarily mess with it, especially if you know that they're fragile on that, on that question.
So we put boundaries.
Okay.
And it sustained us.
Well, that's good. That worked for you. Did you ever end up, though, getting permission or dating somebody that they had dated and it was okay?
Well, I did mention to one of my friends that someone she did date was interested. And she was okay with it, but the thing was I wasn't interested.
Oh, okay.
But we're all still friends.
Even with the person who was interested? Yep. All right, well that
there's
worked.
Children involved, so you gotta do your best.
That complicates things a tad too,
right.
eh? When there's children involved as well. Well, Karen, thanks so much for sharing with us.
Yeah.
All right, have a good night. 514-790-0991. You can also text us at 514-800. I remember very distinctly when in high school I had an ex, and I actually fixed him up with my best friend. I did the fixing up. So look, I don't want you. I have got somebody else, but you know what? You're a nice guy. She's a nice girl. Go for it. And they dated for years.
That's actually one of the things that is really great when you can pair up your ex with someone else.
Yeah.
That happened to me a lot in college, where things didn't work out with us, but I figure, let's bring other people together. The more people who you help find love, the more love you'll get.
Well, that's a good point. More dating dilemmas coming up after the news.
From Loser to Seducer is the story of Frank B. Kermit. This book marks the triumph of a nice guy over most of his inner demons. This includes going from being a loser to managing 5 lovers at the same time, his first Valentine's date with 2 women at the same time, and getting back the one that got away. Want to learn how you can change your life? Buy this book at franktalks.com.
This is Passion with Dr. Laurie Bettito on Montreal's News Talk Leader, CJAD 800.
Tonight, it's Dating Dilemmas. We do that once a month. We pick a topic, a dilemma for single people out there. And this month's dilemma is dating exes of friends, good friends, or family members, in fact. Frank Kermit is in studio with me of franktalks.com. And Maureen joins us. Hi, Maureen. Hi, Maureen. Do we have Maureen on the line? No? All right, well. 514-790-0991. You can also text us at 514-800. Frank, should we be asking permission? Like, if I was interested in my best friend's, ex, do I say to her, by the way, would you mind if I dated such and such?
I think it depends if you're willing to let the potential relationship go. And if you're willing to let it go, then ask permission, because there's a chance that your friend is going to say no.
Okay, but letting what go? Letting the potential relationship?
The potential romantic relationship go.
Right. Okay.
If you're willing to let the potential romantic relationship go, sure, ask permission. If you really feel that this might be a shot for you to reach some level of connection that you haven't reached before, I wouldn't ask permission as much as just say, hey, there's something I got to let you know. I've started seeing somebody, and it's somebody you know. In fact, it's somebody you know very well. And then let the conversation build from there. Prior to bringing it up, you might also want to test the waters and say, let's talk about our exes. And then in the process of talking about exes, see if the person wishes their ex happiness, or see if there's still a lot of hurt feelings involved.
Okay, let's just say there's still a lot of hurt feelings involved. Why would you risk it? If you know, you're gauging the situation. So if I'm speaking to my best friend and I see that she's still very upset over the breakup, or, she thinks he was the biggest ass or whatever, and then I go and say, well, guess what? I'm dating him. that would kill it right there.
It might. At the same time, though, you're getting a perspective of a relationship that didn't work out. And
that's true.
Unless you don't, we don't know what really goes on between two people
Behind closed doors.
Behind closed doors, and
True.
she might be saying he was a jerk and so on and so forth. But maybe she calls every single one of her ex-boyfriends a jerk because she's mad that it didn't work out.
Or that they broke up with her or whatever.
Exactly. So you have to be a decent judge of character, and if everybody says, well, this person's jerk, this person's trouble, and you still respond to that, that's your own issue you got to work out.
That's true.
But most people don't think really well of their exes. They always say, well, there was that one thing that we couldn't connect on or get past, and there's always going to be a little bit of a hurt feeling. Very few people break up and say, well, we're broken up, there's no hurt feelings, but everything's great. Yeah. It's just not realistic.
Well, sometimes that just takes time, and I wonder if it's a question of time. If if your best friend recently split up, and then you jump on the chance to be with this ex of hers or his,
I find that questionable too. I understand what you're saying. If they've just broken up, what I usually advise is: are you sure that they've completely ended the relationship, or did they just break up because they had a fight and within a few hours everybody will cool off and things will continue on? So before you date the ex of a friend, make sure it's an actual ex and not just a bump in the road of that particular relationship.
But even if it is a breakup, and the ex, the friend is devastated by the breakup or what have you, there should be some time to let your friend heal or help. Otherwise, you're going to look like a vulture. You're like so uncompassionate. Your friend is hurting, and you're going and starting to date their ex who hurt them so badly, or the cause of their hurt, and then you're jumping into a relationship with them. I don't know. To me, that would lack some compassion, I would think, no matter how much you think it might be a potential relationship.
Well, what if that person was your potential soulmate? What if that person, like again?
I think but maybe we disagree on this. But I think we have many potential soulmates in our lifetime, or
I agree that we have a number of soulmates. I don't question that at all. So we're on the same page. What I'm saying is, yes, those two people didn't work out, and your friend is maybe really hurting. You would have to make a choice at that point. Are you going to be there for your friend, or are you going to pursue a relationship for yourself?
I know what I would do.
What would you do?
I would be there for my friend. I would, if I was really interested in that person, I would wait. I would wait until my friend was healed, or I felt that there was no more deep hurt feelings, and then talk about it, and then say, look, how would you feel?
I take the very different perspective because I've been in that situation where my ex-fiance ended up with one of my best friends.
Oh, jeez.
And what really hurt me in this situation was that he was the guy I would go to talk about it.
Oh.
So he was being the guy, he was being my rock, who I would go there and say, boy, I don't understand. Why is she being like this? We're having fights about this. He used to say things to me like, boy, I don't know how you can stand to be with her. I would never date a girl like this.
And then he ends up with her.
He ends up with her. For a while, he was writing her love letters, and I only found out about this afterwards. So when I'm hearing, okay, be there for the friend, well, if you have already got an interest in the ex, I think being there for the friend is not legitimate, because it'll always be...
It's not real, is what you're saying. It's not sincere.
You know what? Let's be clear. It could be sincere. It could be that when he was there for me, he was really trying to be there for me. But for the rest of my life, it's always in the back of my head. Was he just looking to gather information?
Oh.
Was he just saying to me, Frank, you're better off without her? Why? Because he wanted her?
Oh.
So we don't know. Until I
Right.
sit down and have a conversation with him, we don't know. There was a certain amount of time that passed before he started dating her and the time I broke up. The key element for me, when I was going through this process, I blamed him for the breakup. We never would have broken up if it wasn't for him. The reality is, we would have broken up anyway, whether or
Right.
not she started dating my friend. And this is why I get back to the basic principle. Everybody has the right to find a soulmate. Everybody's going to meet somebody. When you break up with somebody, you have to accept that they're going to date somebody else the day after.
Of course. Well, possibly the day after, but I guess you just don't count on them dating the next person closest to you.
You don't count on it, but understanding that they're going to date whoever they want because they have the right to do that, just like you do.
Yeah.
It helps you deal with that. I teach people that, look, when you break up, you have to mean it. And breaking up means that they're going to be with somebody else the very next day. That's what it could potentially mean.
They have to be free. It means, you're setting them free. Or you're set, right.
Yeah, and if you're not comfortable with that idea, don't break up with them. Work it out.
Good point. 514-790-0991. If you've been in this situation, dating the ex of a friend, a close friend, or a family member, we'd love to hear from you. You can also...
From Loser to Seducer is the story of Frank B. Kermit. This book marks the triumph of a nice guy over most of his inner demons. This includes going from being a loser to managing 5 lovers at the same time, his first Valentine's date with 2 women at the same time, and getting back the one that got away. Want to learn how you can change your life? Buy this book at franktalks.com.
This is Passion with Dr. Laurie Betito on Montreal's News Talk Leader, CJAD 800.
Dating dilemmas tonight on Passion. We're talking about dating exes of friends. Have you been in that situation? Would you ever? Would you ask permission? Would you do it in secret? Is this, completely unethical for you, or you see no problem with it? 514-790-0991. Hi, Omar. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello, Dr. Benito.
Hi.
How do you do?
I'm very well, thank you. What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts, and 2 points. And I haven't heard you talk about the morality of the issue, because if somebody dates somebody else's friend, that's like, you can't even call that person a friend in the first place, because he actually was coveting your partner to begin with.
See, that's interesting. We didn't talk about that. The coveting of, which, of course, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, right?
But not in the religious sense. It's just in
the morality sense, I know. But a lot of these religious things are actually moral questions and moral dilemmas. You see, I think there is an ethical or moral issue when it's a very good friend. I wouldn't want to do it behind their back. But sometimes in a situation like that, like I know I introduced an ex to my best friend and said, here, you guys go out. I think you'd make a great couple. So no moral issue there. It only becomes a moral issue when one person gets hurt.
No, but the fact that you are pursuing somebody's exes and that person is supposed to be your friend and it sounds like it's not the right thing to do. I would not, under any circumstances, go out with somebody who I know is a friend of mine. That person would never be related to me in that sense.
Right. It's the pursuit of which you're talking about. Is really pursuing someone that once belonged to your close friend. So I get that. That's our own value system, and I think and I tend to agree with you. I would never do it either.
Appreciate it.
So thanks so much, Omar.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye now. 514-790-0991. You can also text us at 514-800. We're talking about exes and dating the ex of friends or of relatives. It is a dicey issue, and I think some people would see it as non-compassionate or selfish, or some people do have ethical or moral issues with this kind of thing. And yet, in some religions, I know, I can't remember exactly, so I don't want to mess this up, but where if your husband dies and there's a brother, you're supposed to marry the brother. And so I know that there's some context of keeping it in the family kind of thing. Anne joins us. Hi, Anne. Hi.
Hello.
Yes, Anne. Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Good.
This is somebody there?
Yes, we're here. You got to turn off your radio, Anne, if you want to hear me.
Okay, because I'm in the living room now.
Yeah, turn off your radio.
Turn off the radio?
Yes.
Oh.
Because then you'll hear me in 2 different places at 2 different times.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear from do this for many, many years.
Okay.
Anyway, I had spoken to you about maybe 5 years ago or less.
Forgive me if I don't remember.
Oh, you can't remember. Maybe if you have name. Yeah, what happened? Yes, because I have an ex for many years now, about 28 years, will be 29 years.
That he's been an ex for 29 years?
Well, yes, because I have a daughter.
Yeah.
28 years, will be 29 this year, and which we have no communications really.
Okay.
And meeting or plans or anything, but then, but he tried to have control or demanding or whatever over me and my daughter, which we don't even see or visit or anything, but he lives in the States, you know. But I want to put something straight to you because, like, I haven't met him again.
Okay.
He's out of town. And there's another ex that I know since I was a teenager in high school.
Yeah.
And in Canada, and met in Canada, and we were in the States, but not on long friendships or relationships.
Okay.
But he was married, and then he told me when we met, before I was single then, that come back to Canada and take care of yourself, that when he's ready, he will let me know and call for me.
Okay.
But I think at that time he was married, but was separated from his wife. But eventually what I did heard that he's maybe divorced many years now, and he's single and free now.
Oh, well, now's your chance, Anne.
And he's not, well, I'm not calling, connecting yet because I'm not sure what to do. But the thing is, he told a family member.
Yeah.
And he's seeking my interest.
So, go for it.
You know that I was a single mother for all my years since my daughter was 29 now.
But Anne, he's single, you're single.
Yes.
Here's someone you were interested in long ago. He was interested in you long ago. What a perfect opportunity to connect.
That's what I think, you know.
Yeah.
From Loser to Seducer is the story of Frank B. Kermit. This book marks the triumph of a nice guy over most of his inner demons. This includes going from being a loser to managing 5 lovers at the same time, his first Valentine's date with 2 women at the same time, and getting back the one that got away. Want to learn how you can change your life? Buy this book at franktalks.com.
This is Passion with Dr. Laurie Bettito on Montreal's News Talk Leader, CJAD 800.
Have you ever dated your best friend's ex? If you have, and it worked out or didn't work out, we want to hear from you. 514-790-0991. Talking here with Frank Kermit. It's our monthly featured dating dilemmas where we pick a dating dilemma to discuss at length. And Frank joins me every month as well. He's a coach, a dating coach. He's written many books on the subject to his website, franktalks.com. So can we talk about the secrecy of it? Like, let's say you are interested in the ex of a friend of yours. When do you make the decision not to say or to say? Like, what if it doesn't pan out? What if, I don't know. Like, where's the line there of honesty?
Here's where I draw the line. Number 1, if you do have an interest in your friend's ex, don't be your friend's therapist. Because that's where I feel it's unethical. Don't sit there holding your friend's hand saying it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay.
Or what a jerk, or what a this, and then go off and
exactly.
pursue them.
That's what I believe is unethical. If you're going to be interested in dating the other person, your friend will have other people to rely on. And this is where if you step in there and be a mirror and so on and go out, that's where a lot of anger is going to come from, because that's a betrayal of trust.
Right.
Okay?
Yes, I would see that.
So that's the first thing. Number 2, should you date in secret? In my opinion, depending on the type of relationships, I think relationships are nobody else's business. I always encourage people to date in secret, protect one another's reputation. You start seeing someone, well, you're seeing someone. You don't have to announce it to the world. And the fact is, you might date 3 or 4 times. It doesn't work out. You might have sex. So it still doesn't work out. you don't need to tell the world who you've been with and all the details of your dates.
Well, I think it's important if it becomes serious. Certainly that's a different situation. Right?
Once it becomes serious and you're going to publicly be a couple, well, yeah, you better let everybody know, okay, you can go on Facebook now and say, I'm in a relationship with this person.
But that might come as a complete and utter shock to people who, if it's your close friend's ex, for example. Like, how do you maintain? See, to me, that's still a betrayal, because if I'm maintaining a friendship with my friend and we're still talking regularly and getting together, and here I have this information that I'm dating her ex-husband or whatever, and I'm not sharing that information, when she finds out, she's going to be like, what? We've been talking for all these months, or we've been getting together, and you never mentioned it once? What kind of a friend are you?
Well, the fact is, friendship doesn't necessarily dictate you're going to share all your secrets. And this is
a biggie. Like, Frank, come on, this is a biggie.
Well, hold on. If we're talking about setting up a relationship where the two of them want to build a future together, and that's why now they're going public with it, look, people might end up finding out, oh, wow, I didn't know that the two of you were dating. I'm really hurt that I wasn't let in. The fact is, they may have a lot of reasons to keep it secret, and I think that's a good idea. I once worked with somebody in a large company that was dating someone in the different department of this large company. They kept it secret for years.
That I can understand, in the context of work and what have you. But, there's no betrayal there. You're not betraying anybody.
But there was a betrayal, because throughout that entire time that I'm talking to this guy and we're talking about girls, we're talking about this, he never once mentioned that he was dating one of our coworkers.
Okay.
And when it was announced, he announced it when they had gotten engaged. Now they got engaged. Now they're going to go public with it. He comes up to me afterwards and says, listen, there's something I want to tell you. I'm engaged. I said, oh, fantastic. Wow, I didn't even know you were dating anybody seriously. Who is it? Well, it turns out it's the coworker. Sure, I felt bad. I felt hurt, but I understood the situation that they can't let anybody know because they work together and they didn't want to make it awkward.
But that's different. That's not your friend. It's not the same investment.
To what? And then I think that's the point we're making earlier. To what degree of the friendship?
Right.
When I was with him, he was a coworker. We hung out a few times, had a few beers, but obviously he didn't see me as a really close friend that he could share this with.
Right.
Okay? Now, if you're talking about someone that you're really that close with,
yes,
I still say that your number one priority is to build a future with someone, and depending on how important that friendship is...
Well, that's it. I think you have to weigh and understand the risk that you do, even if the romance doesn't work out, that friendship may be gone for good, or those family ties may be gone for good. So you really need to weigh this stuff out.
Absolutely.
I mean, to me, it's a very dicey, skating on thin ice kind of issue, in my opinion. Frank, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
It was great, Dr. Laurie. I can't wait to do it again.
We'll do it again next month, absolutely. Thank you to Mike Babbins in Master Control. Thanks to all of you for tuning in, and for those of you that called in. If you want to reach me, passion at cjad.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Dr. Laurie Sex Talk, or join our Facebook group, Passion with Dr. Laurie. News is coming up next, and then your comedy show with your wonderful host, Joey Elias. Have a great rest of the evening, and remember, life is short, so make sure you take the time to smell the flowers and indulge your passions.
From Loser to Seducer is the story of Frank B. Kermit. This book marks the triumph of a nice guy over most of his inner demons. This includes going from being a loser to managing 5 lovers at the same time, his first Valentine's date with 2 women at the same time, and getting back the one that got away. Want to learn how you can change your life? Buy this book at franktalks.com.